Kingdom Hearts 2 is the second game that continues the epicness of what happened when you combine Disney with Final Fantasy. Get ready for another magical adventure, seeing familiar faces and meeting new friends. It's time to save the world, again. You start off playing as Roxas, a young kid who resembles Sora on his summer vacation. It's a bit of a slow start to the game, doing errands and preparing for the big struggle tournament, but eventually you find Sora, and then he takes over from there.
Sora, you're lucky. Looks like my summer vacation's over.
This is where the game really starts, in my opinion. Anyways, the game follows the familiar formula of visiting worlds, killing Heartless and the new nobodies, sealing the keyhole and moving on to the next world. You repeat this until you get to the last world, and then you fight the final boss. Not very exciting when I put it that way, but believe me, this game has plenty of exciting parts.
This is my story, and you're not part of it.
Think you can handle this many?
Well, might be tough if one more shows up.
Then that'll have to be the one I take care of.
What? You find cool?
If I could describe this game in one word, it would be streamlined. Everything about the game has been streamlined. The developers worked out all the kinks from the first game and made it overall easier to play. But I don't mean the difficulty, rather playability. It just plays really well. The addition of QuickTime events with the triangle button will annoy some people, but I didn't mind it. I like QuickTime events when they're placed well and not distracting. Instead of navigating the menu, the triangle button is used to perform most actions, like talking, saving, and other things. Combat and the boss battles are the best parts of this game. Combat is super smooth and very engaging. This is an action RPG. It's so satisfying to kill Heartless after Heartless, gaining levels and new abilities along the way. However, I feel like there are almost too many specials and abilities. A lot of them I never really used, like most summons. There's also the special moves that you can do with your followers, all of the spells, and the Valor forms, which each can be leveled up to be stronger, and then have even more abilities for each. It's a lot of depth, and each player has a lot of different ways to play. The crafting system makes a return, where you can use rare drops from enemies to craft usable items, and also weapons and armor, including the Ultima weapon for Sora, Save the King for Goofy, and Save the Queen for Donald. The worlds are varied, and you get to revisit some worlds from the first game, but some tend to feel like filler worlds in between events. You finally get to go to Disney Castle, Hollow Bastion is completely different now. Final Fantasy characters make a return, as well as a few new ones. The Colosseum doesn't hold tournaments anymore. I won't spoil the story, but there are still tournaments in the underworld. However, they don't stack up to the epicness of the first game's tournaments. Not only does Sora and the gang have to fight the Heartless, but there are also new enemies called Nobodies. Now this is where the game's story gets complicated. If you were confused about what was going on in the first game, I'd recommend using the interwebs for help. I had to do it, I'll admit it. It gets pretty confusing. And to add to the confusion, they made a spin-off game on Game Boy that takes its place in between the first and the second games. They do their best to fill you in on what happens in the first few hours of the game, you know, with Roxas, but it's not the same as experiencing it for yourself while playing through it. The series seems to be plagued by this nowadays, spin-off after spin-off. We just want Kingdom Hearts 3, and we'll get it eventually. So should you play this game? That depends. Did you like the first? Then play it. Never played the first or didn't like it? Give it a shot anyways. The combat is a lot of fun. Copies on the PS2 are pretty cheap, and the new HD version is coming out soon, so I'd say go play it.